The Grand Canyon is one of the world's greatest natural wonders, a vast, ancient masterpiece carved by time and the relentless force of nature. It inspires awe, humility, and a sense of insignificance. It also kills, on average, 12 people every year, and shockingly, many of those deaths are completely avoidable. Today we're focusing on the people who came face to face with this majestic, indifferent landscape and lost. Not to bad luck, but to arrogance, ignorance, and the modern obsession with the perfect photo. From deadly selfies to reckless shortcuts and ignored warnings, these are the stupidest deaths ever recorded at the Grand Canyon. Case 1. The One Step Too Far Selfie. On March 28, 2019, a man in his late 50s from Hong Kong was visiting Grand Canyon West as part of a tour group. The main attraction was the Skywalk, a massive horseshoe-shaped glass bridge that lets you walk out over the canyon 1,000 feet above the floor. It's a marvel of engineering, a triumph of tourism, and it's completely idiot-proofly safe. But for this man, the safe, designated photo op wasn't enough. He wanted something more. While his group was busy taking photos on the Skywalk, he wandered off to a nearby, unfenced rocky outcrop. He wanted a better angle, a more authentic shot, without the glass and railings and other tourists. He was so focused on his phone, on framing the perfect selfie, that he didn't realize how close he was to the edge. He took one step too many, lost his balance, and tumbled silently into the abyss. He fell 1,000 feet to his death, his body later recovered by a helicopter from the bottom of the canyon. His death is a tragic, almost cliché example of the deadly allure of the perfect photo. He was just meters away from a perfectly safe, spectacular viewpoint, but the desire for a slightly different, slightly more dangerous shot cost him his life. He died for a photo he never got to post. Case 2. The Fatal Family Photo. On July 3, 2020, 59-year-old Maria Salgado Lopez from Scottsdale, Arizona, was doing what thousands of people do every day at the Grand Canyon, taking family photos. She was at Mather Point, one of the most popular and accessible viewpoints on the South Rim. It's a place designed for tourists, with wide, paved paths and sturdy railings, a place where you have to actively try to get into trouble. But Maria wanted a better photo. She saw a small, unofficial path leading to a ledge just beyond the safety of the main viewpoint. She stepped over a low wall and called for her family to join her. As she was positioning herself for the photo, she took a small step backwards. Her foot landed on loose gravel, and she was gone. She fell 100 feet, her family watching in horror, their holiday turning into a nightmare in the blink of an eye. Her death is a chilling reminder of how quickly a normal, happy family moment can turn into a tragedy. She wasn't a reckless teenager chasing likes. She was a 59-year-old woman who made a small, seemingly insignificant mistake. She stepped off the path. And in the Grand Canyon, stepping off the path is a gamble you can only lose once. Case 3. The Last Post. On July 8, 2016, 35-year-old Colleen Burns, a marketing executive from Florida, was hiking the South Kaibab Trail with friends. She was an avid hiker and a savvy social media user, her life a curated feed of adventure and positivity. As the sun began to set, she posted a photo to Instagram. It's a beautiful, poignant image, her sitting on a ledge, looking out at the vast, colorful canyon. The caption was simple, enthusiastic, and tragically prophetic. That view, though, it would be her last post. Minutes later, as she was making her way back up the trail, she stepped aside to let another hiker pass. It was a simple act of trail etiquette, a common courtesy. But on the narrow, gravelly path of the South Kaibab, it was a fatal mistake. Her foot slipped on loose rocks, and she plunged 400 feet to her death. Her friends, just a few feet away, could do nothing but watch in horror as she disappeared into the twilight. Her death became a viral story, a cautionary tale for the Instagram age. The juxtaposition of her serene final photo and her violent, sudden death was a brutal illustration of the canyon's unforgiving nature. One moment, you're capturing the perfect view for your followers. The next, the view claims you. 3 people, 3 falls, 3 stupid, preventable mistakes. They ignored the warnings, they stepped over the barriers, and they paid the ultimate price. But falling is just one of the many ways the Grand Canyon can kill you. Sometimes the danger is invisible. After the break, we're looking at the forces of nature that can turn a dream trip into a nightmare in the blink of an eye. Case 4. The Hat Grab. This next case isn't about a specific person, but a specific, tragically common and profoundly stupid type of death in the Grand Canyon. It's the story of the person who dies for their hat. It sounds absurd, like a cartoon, but park rangers and rescue pilots will tell you it happens with alarming, heartbreaking frequency. Imagine this. You're hiking along a narrow rim trail. The views are incredible, but there's a strong, gusty wind. A sudden gust rips your favorite hat off your head. It's floating just a few feet away, over the edge of the canyon. Without thinking, you lunge for it. It's a pure, subconscious reflex, a primal instinct to retrieve your property. But in that split second, you've sealed your fate. Your momentum carries you over the edge, and you follow your hat on a one-way trip to the bottom of the canyon. It's a death born from a micro-decision, a moment where your brain values a $20 hat over your own life. It's a testament to the power of instinct, and a brutal lesson in the canyon's unforgiving physics. The hat can be replaced. You can't. And yet, people continue to make the same fatal, reflexive mistake year after year. Case 5. The Human Lightning Rod. When people think of dangers in the Grand Canyon, they think of falls, dehydration, and rattlesnakes. They don't usually think of lightning. But in the vast, open landscape of the canyon, a human body can become the tallest object for miles, a perfect, fleshy lightning rod. And that's exactly what happened to a group of rafters in July 2013. They were on a commercial river trip, deep in the canyon, when a powerful monsoon thunderstorm rolled in. They pulled over to a sandbank to wait out the storm. It was a fatal mistake. As they huddled together, a bolt of lightning struck the water nearby. The electrical charge traveled through the wet sand, electrocuting the entire group. One person was killed, and several others were seriously injured, left with severe burns and lasting neurological damage. It's a terrifying, almost biblical form of death. A bolt from the blue, a random act of God. But it's also a preventable one. The number one rule of lightning safety is to get off the water and away from open areas. By huddling together on a wet sandbank, they turned themselves into a giant, conductive target. They weren't just in the wrong place at the wrong time. They made the wrong decision, and nature passed its brutal, instantaneous judgment. Case 6. The Invisible Enemy. Of all the ways to die in the Grand Canyon, this might be the most insidious, the most deceptive. It's a killer that can strike on a perfectly sunny day, a silent, invisible enemy that gives you almost no warning. It's the flash flood. In September 1997, a group of hikers was camping in a narrow slot canyon, miles from the Colorado River. The sky above them was clear and blue. But miles away, high on the rim, a powerful thunderstorm was dumping rain onto the hard, baked earth. The water had nowhere to go but down, funneling into the narrow canyons and creating a torrent of water, mud, and debris, a liquid bulldozer. By the time the hikers heard the distant roar of the approaching flood, it was too late. A 10-foot wall of water slammed into their campsite, sweeping them and all their belongings away. 2 people were killed, their bodies found miles downstream days later. They died because they didn't understand the fundamental, counterintuitive rule of the desert. It doesn't have to be raining on you to drown. They camped in a dry wash, a natural drainage channel, and paid for it with their lives. Case 7. The Sightseeing Spiral. For many visitors, a helicopter tour is the ultimate Grand Canyon experience. It's a chance to see the canyon from a God's eye view, to soar like an eagle over the vast, intricate landscape. But on August 10, 2001, for 6 passengers on a Papillon Airways tour, that dream became a fiery nightmare. The Eurocopter AS-350, call sign Papillon 34, was on a routine sightseeing flight near Quartermaster Canyon. The weather was hot, and the air was thin, a condition known as high-density altitude, which severely limits a helicopter's performance. According to the National Transportation Safety Board investigation, the pilot, likely trying to give his passengers a more thrilling, memorable view, made a sharp, aggressive turn. The helicopter entered a condition known as settling with power, where it loses lift and begins to fall, even with the engine at full power. It's a well-known aerodynamic trap, and the pilot flew right into it. The pilot couldn't recover. The helicopter spiraled into the ground and exploded on impact. The pilot and 5 of his 6 passengers were killed. 1 person survived, but with horrific, life-altering burns. The NTSB ruled the crash was due to pilot error. It was a case of a pilot pushing the limits of his aircraft, and his luck, 1 turn too far. He was trying to sell his passengers a thrill, and he ended up selling them a death sentence. They are a grim, but necessary, reminder that the Grand Canyon is not a theme park. It's a wild, untamed, and deeply unforgiving place. It doesn't care about your Instagram feed, your tour schedule, or your desire for the perfect photo. It operates on a simple, brutal set of rules. And if you break them, you will be punished. So the next time you see a photo of someone dangling their feet over the edge or hopping a barrier for a better view, remember these stories. Remember the man who died for his hat, the woman who fell taking a family photo, the hikers who were swept away by a wall of water on a sunny day. The Grand Canyon demands respect. If you don't give it, it will take it. And it might just take you with it. Which of these stories did you find the most cautionary? Let us know in the comments below. And if you appreciate our deep dives into these tragic tales, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Final Moments. Until next time, stay on the path.